Welcome to The Bridge, Your Health, Your Voice, the official podcast for the University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Pharmacy Patients Program. The Patients Program is the bridge between the community and researchers. The Patients Program created this partnership to help researchers listen to the community's voice in order to build a bridge to an effective learning healthcare community. Here's your host, Rodney Elliott.
Ted, do you know how to play cards? What cards do you like to play, I should say?
You know, it's funny because I'm not a spades kind of girl, but I am a goldfish Uno kind of girl. You want to play me in some Uno or some goldfish, I got you. But I do know how to play Tunk, if that counts. So I got a little bit of cards in me.
Okay. Tunk definitely counts. But I definitely was going to ask you, do you know how to play spades? So summertime or family reunion or getting together, I can't count on you to be my partner and we can get together and no, not at all.
What do they say now? The black card is revoked. I'm getting out of the cookout.
well, you know how to play Tunk, so I think you're good. And Uno is a good game as well too, so you can definitely join the cookout and stay for sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Rodney Elliott, the host of The Bridge, and I'm talking to Jazmiera Smothers. She is a mom, a author. She is a advocate, inspirational speaker. She's a future, because I know you're not ordained just yet, but in our previous conversations, you're studying to be a pastor, correct?
I am. It's on its way.
Oh, my goodness. That's great. She wears many hats, and she's one of our partners at the Patients Program. She's been working with us on a particular project called Co-Pillar, and we'll talk about that later on throughout our conversation. So I'm just excited to have Jazmiera here today. Jazz, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. We talked about and joked about playing spades and playing cards in our earlier conversation, and I brought that up because in your first self-published book called Playing with the Cards You're Dealt, you use that analogy to a card game to kind of compare to life. What did you mean by that, or where did that analogy come for your first book?
Absolutely. So when you're dealt the hand of cards, you never know what you're going to get, right? You just grab the cards and you start to play. It's just like opportunities in life. Sometimes you're given different opportunities in life and you don't know what's going to come of them, but you still got to participate in order to see what's going to come of it. So just like a card game, you use the cards that you get in order to play, to win, and to get to the end so that you can see it through. It's just like opportunities in life. Sometimes we may not know what's going to come of our hands that we're dealt. We don't know what situations we're going to face, but at the end of the day, as long as we choose to play and use our cards well, then we'll make it through to the end. So
I think we all can relate to being dealt some cards, and when we don't get a hand that we like or we didn't want or didn't expect, it can force us to face challenges in our life. And Jazmiera, in your book and in your journey, you shared your stories about the cards that you were dealt. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about those cards you were dealt, and then how has your journey through grief influenced your writing style, in terms of the way you explore your journey in your book?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we start with that first book, I was about 20, going on 21 at that point in my life. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had my first son. His name was Nazir. I stayed home with Nazir, and I just all of a sudden I had a thought where I was watching other influencers do what they do, blogging and social media and videos and all these other things. And something came upon me, and I thought, maybe I should try blogging. Maybe I should start writing some things and seeing what comes of it. So I started writing blogs in regards to mental illness and depression, because if we move backwards a little bit, rewind a little bit, I suffered myself with bipolar depression and anxiety since the age of 16. So as a stay-at-home mom, as somebody that's struggling with mental illnesses, it was a lot to carry, but I had a space where I was able to drop it and use it to my benefit.
I like that.
that makes sense. So I was using what I was going through to help the next person, but to also release it from myself. So it was like therapy, to say the least. So I used those platforms. I started the blogging thing, and I had about 10 to 15 5,000 word blogs.
Okay.
I thought to myself, how much does it take to write a book? When I Googled that, right? When I Googled it, you know, I'm writing so much. It has to be something more that I can do with this. When I Googled it, it said you can use 60,000 characters and up to write your first book. You take me, who has 5,000 words of blogs, up to about 10 of them. All I got to write is about 10,000 more words. And I got myself my first book.
Yeah.
So I started to pray over it. I started to, you know, use what I was going through in different realms of life. Playing with the cards that you've been dealt came to me. And my writing came from a place of brokenness, but it also came from a place of healing, being in the midst of healing and moving forward and the seasons that I was going through. So I just took it. I ran with it. 2018, I self-published my first book through Amazon. I moved forward with that. I started doing motivational speaking within high schools, women events, all kinds of things were just manifesting. And then when we lead into that period of grief that we speak about, this was about 2020, that little boy that was staying home with me that helped me to persevere and to move through life and gave me motivation, actually transitioned to be home with the Lord. On the Resurrection Sunday, Easter Sunday for some of us, according to my religion, my 2-year-old son, tragic accident that I wasn't expecting, a phone call that a parent should never get. But my son had was in the tub, and when someone walked away from him and then came back, my son was no longer breathing. He was left unmonitored for a little too long. So when they returned, my son wasn't breathing on his own, and the phone call that I got came from the paramedics that were letting me know that they were doing all that they could, but they didn't think that my son was going to make it through. And this is a call that I got all the way in the state of Maryland when my son was in New Jersey. So what typically takes me about 2.5 hours for a drive ended up being an hour and 15 minutes. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to get to New Jersey from Maryland, because when your child is going through some things and you can't be there, you start to feel guilty. You start to feel as if, you know, you're not doing enough. But what could I do in the midst of that? You know, how could I get there fast enough? So my writing from 2020 up until my second book release this year, regular is not what I was born to be, up until this point, and I'll stop here so we can move forward. But up until this point, my writing went from being free and set free of mental illnesses and being a stay-at-home mom to now suffering from a loss that most people would never be able to get through. So it got stronger. My writing has gotten stronger. It's more powerful. And the way that I use the story in the book can just let you know that I'm not going to give up on this thing. And grief won't keep me down for too much longer, to say the least. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, for sure. Thank you for sharing that story again with me, Jazmiera. First time for our listeners and viewers. And every time you say it, my heart goes out to you and your family for the loss of Nazir. But it seems like you found a way to use literature, use storytelling to help you cope with grief and find some sort of solace in that. And that's very commendable to you. What type of advice do you have for others navigating loss, especially parents who may have experienced the unimaginable loss of a child?
First and foremost, I hold on to my faith. Without my faith, I would not be. But for those that may not believe in God or may have strayed away from God after the loss, because a loss such as the one that we take as parents can push you away from God, because why didn't he save my child is the question. But for those that do not have faith or do not hold on to faith, I would encourage you to remember that your loved one's life may have ended, but you still have breath within your body. So you still have a purpose. There's still something for you to do. And although you may want to, some may say, I want to just be with my loved one. Some may say, I can't live without this person. But for some reason, you still have life within your body, and there's something that you have to do with it. but what you choose to do with it is up to you. So you can fight the battle that you're fighting when it comes to grief, or you can choose to work through it. The subtitle of my book is Turning a Tragedy into a Transformation, because we don't want to allow the tragedy to make us. We want it to be the thing that helps us to become who we were called to be in the first place. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love it. We talked about earlier the many hats that you do wear, and you've shared with us so far one of your hats of being a mom and another hat of being an author. And for those listening towards the end of this conversation, and even in the comment section, we'll leave links to where you can find Jazmiera's work and read the entire book, because I'm pretty sure no matter where you are in your journey, that book can be very helpful. Another one of your hats you wear, Jasmine, I would say could be an advocate or a community leader of some sort. You've been working with the Patience Program recently with a project that's near and dear to us called Co-Pillar, and you, along with other stakeholders and community members, are having conversations around mental health, having conversations around dealing with grief and how folks can help navigate those different challenges in their particular communities. How has your experience been so far with the Patience Program and Co-Pillar? And then where do you see this project going?
Yeah, man, it's so funny because the first time we all met, I was like, I'm the youngest here and I've never done this before. So y'all bear with me, right? But every time that we meet, I feel like I'm one of the few that's always has something to say, right? I'm always coming off mute to say something, to have it, to give advice. And I'm loving it. This was just an opportunity to be a part of something that was going to go out into the community and try to change lives. I myself am from New Jersey, so I don't really, have that empathetic feeling for those in Baltimore. But I do have that sympathy when it comes to what they're dealing with in life every single day. They're already stereotyped for what they're going through. So when I saw that Co-Pillar was just trying to open the doors to making connections to figure out what they need in this world and in this life that we live in, I wanted more of that. I wanted to be a part of that. So now I've stayed on the council this whole time. I'm enjoying it. I'm putting my input in there when we break out into small groups at times. I'm making connections with other people. I like to say that my light can't go under the lampshade. It has to stay out. It has to stay out. And I try to bring it to Co-Pillar and to the Patience Program every time that I show up, because there's people out there that need us. And the best part about it is that I would do it for free over and over again. And I don't have to, because I'm being compensated for it. And I didn't even know that I was going to. So, God works in mysterious ways, because in this season, as I'm showing up, just doing it genuinely, He's still blessing me in some kind of way for being a blessing to others. So I just love it. I'm enjoying my time with you all. And I'm so grateful to say that I'm a part of something like this at the age of 27. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, Jazmiera, be careful what you speak of when you talk to the Patience Program, because when we see or find that some of our partners are excited about the work we do or eager to participate, you may start getting a little bit more phone calls, a little bit more emails about, participating on projects, jumping on a podcast, maybe participating in Patience Day. We, try to, when we find the energy in folks that like what we do, and there's some type of synergies there, we, just see if you're open to participating. And Jazz, I will say this: when you have participated in Co-Pillar in the breakout sessions or even in our planning sessions, folks enjoy your contributions. When we hit end and we talk about it and we debrief, we always say Jazz always brings such enthusiasm to our groups, to our meetings, very insightful. And to be quite honest, you keep it 100. If it's something that's working, it's great. If something that is not working, you'll let us know that as well, too. And that's what those sessions are for, because you mentioned earlier, you talked about you might not be a Baltimore native. You're from New Jersey, but living in Columbia now. So you understand a little bit about what's going on in Baltimore, but not being from here doesn't take away from your ability to understand what some of the challenges and processes could be, and where you also can help out at and lend your support. So that's very, very commendable of you, and we truly appreciate you at the Patience Program for that. Can you describe some of the impactful moments or maybe some of the feedback that you've received from some of your readers or community members regarding your work in this grief advocacy space?
Absolutely. For starters, people can't believe that I'm doing all that I'm doing. I think when they hear that I've lost a child, it instantly takes their breath away, and they can't believe that I have the strength to keep going the way that I'm going. And I'm not just continuously going. I'm pursuing things that most people couldn't even imagine. When it comes to my writing, I have my book here beside me, right? So when you look at me on the outside on the cover, you can't see what I'm going through. But when you start to flip through the book, that's when you hear about the brokenness that's within me, but you can't see it on the outside. And people want to know how, right? And that's where it goes back to that faith piece of it. I can smile like this on the cover because I've got something within me that is much greater and bigger than what's on the inside of this book. So don't worry about what's on the inside that has broken me. Pay attention to what's transforming to get me to where it is that I'm going next, right? So people, they take that, they love it, it encourages them, it empowers them, they move forward in what they're going through, believing that if Jazz can do it, I can do it too. And I encourage them with those words. You know, if it can happen for me, why can't it happen for you? You know, and they give me reasons why it can't happen, but then we work through those reasons because everything has a time, right? In the Bible, it says there's a time and a season for everything. And I try to encourage people to remember that this may be my season and it may not be yours, but your season is going to be coming soon too. So I use my writing to open up the hearts and the minds of people that like to read. But then you have my voice that I use to speak. For starters, I'm a volunteer for NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Yep.
And as a volunteer for NAMI, I'm a presenter. So I go and I speak to the students. So you have the person that's leading the session that gives them the PowerPoint, the presentation. And then you have me that comes along who tells my story to encourage them even more. I've showed up in front of young ladies who were molested, abused, who's suffering with mental illnesses, who's suffering with the loss of parents, with the loss of friends. And I sat before that group of girls and their eyes, they just filled with tears because they couldn't believe how strong I was standing before them in the midst of all that I was going through. And that's when I let them know that you can use what you're going through to either break you or make you. What I'm choosing to do is to allow it to make me so that way I can get to where it is that I'm trying to go in life, which is higher than I've ever been before. And it's just so great to stand before children, to stand before adults, to stand before mothers, teachers, all the people that I get in front of through NAMI helps me with becoming a better speaker and more open to speaking more because I get the opportunities and I run with them.
I like that, Jazz. Another opportunity for you to, again, share your work with the group with NAMI group. We work with them as well on some projects, and we're actually looking forward to doing some other events later on in the future because they are an organization that recognizes and understands the needs of our community. Jazz, you do a great job of using analogies. In your first book, we talk about, cards and playing cards that you were dealt and how you relate that to life, dealing with grief. And you just talked about the analogy in your new book, Regular is Not What I Was Born to Be. In the picture on the outside, you can see that. But then if you read the book, you kind of can get a better understanding of the journey you've been on. You just talked about your volunteer work at NAMI. Again, you wear many hats. Can you share some insights into the challenges of balancing your role as a mom, an advocate, a community leader, all while still dealing with some of your personal grief?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think those are the things that I try to overlook, but sometimes you got to face them in order to get through it, right?
Yeah.
Talking about analogies. But yeah, when it comes to the challenge, I can use the patience program in Co-Pillar as an example. I was supposed to show up for y'all one time. And I sent you an email that morning and I said, hey, I'm not feeling too good today. I won't be able to make it to the event. I was supposed to be on some kind of panel for you all.
Yeah.
But outside of you, I went to Michelle and I said, Michelle, grief has a hold on me today. I didn't tell Rodney that grief has a hold on me, but I do want to let you know that I cannot get out of bed today because that thing, grief, can be physical sometimes. You can only imagine the loss of a child holds a lot of weight on a person. It's to the point where sometimes I can't even get out of bed. I can barely walk. I can barely stand. I can't eat. All I want to do is sleep. Sometimes I can't even cry. The tears just sit in my eyes and I have to wait for them to fall. It could take days. It could take weeks. But sometimes I can't show up for the things that I sign up for because of what I'm going through behind closed doors. So to you, you might have thought, oh, maybe she has a cold or maybe she should get a COVID test. But really what I was suffering with was the pain from a loss that happened almost 3 years ago, 4 years tomorrow. And it's funny because I sit before you, tomorrow makes 4 years exactly. April 12th of 2020 was when my son transitioned. And I sit before you today on April 11th looking like I'm not going through anything, right? But the weight is heavy. It's heavy, but by doing what I'm doing here, by sharing my story and being a testament and a testimony to what God can do in your life, it gives me motivation to get through tomorrow as tomorrow comes upon me. So again, the troubles, the trials, the tribulations, they come. Sometimes I can't go to work, and when you can't go to work, you don't get paid, right? So I miss work and I can't show up and I leave a job because I don't think the job is being understanding enough. And Co-Pillar, we talk about how we need more support from the workplace because somebody like myself with so much potential comes into your workplace, but I have to miss a lot of days because I've taken a loss that most people can't see themselves through. I'm trying to see myself through it, but I need some days off in order to recover because grief is a challenge. It's a disability at this point. So that's why I also joined Co-Pillar because I know what it feels like to need more from those around you in your community, in your workplace. And I just want to help other people to get what it is that I feel like I've never received on my journey through grief.
I too was introduced to the Patience Program by a friend and having conversations, and I shared the story about the passing of my mom as well, how that impacted me. And during that time, I knew it, but then I didn't know it. And then the after effects of it back in 2012, for a couple of years after that, was just as challenging. And, you talk about tomorrow being a special day for you of remembrance. Earlier this month, a couple of days ago, actually was the death anniversary of my mom as well, too. And around that time, I do feel myself kind of just being a little off or not being myself. And so me, as well, being someone who lost someone very, very close to me, I can understand that. And I appreciate you sharing that. How do you take care of Jazz? How do you make sure Jazz is okay?
I'm going to keep it all the way 100 with you because you know that I will. I still haven't gotten that part down pat yet. I don't even know what self-care is at times. I share with you guys now, I'm also a new mom again. I had my second son on January 31st. So I'm 8 weeks or almost 10 weeks, 10 weeks into this thing now. So self-care is like a hit or a miss for me right now. I'm also newly engaged. So, I have somebody else that.
Oh, congratulations. You already told us that. Yeah.
I missed that part, right? I'm, working out this how to be a wife thing. I'm working out how to be a new mom thing. I'm working out how to grieve the loss of a child while being a new mom thing. Woo! Self-care is not something that I have mastered yet. And I will not lie to you guys and sit here and say, oh, I got this down pat. Okay. I still haven't gotten it right yet. But I try my best. I truly do. What keeps me going is I love to read books. Not only do I write them, but I love to read them. I'm learning how to ask for help when I need it. It's very important in this season. I'm extending my hand out to others, but also asking them to give their hand back to me a little bit more often, especially when it comes to my fiance, because I didn't have this child on my own, so I should be able to do the things that I love and he does the things that he loves. But I think I'm just starting to figure myself out. You got to think about it, Rodney. I'm 27. Life is just starting for me. I don't know what I like to do. I don't know how to spend my money wisely. I don't know how to be an employee that doesn't take offense to everything that's said to them, because I'm a part of a generation where we stand on everything we go by, right? If you
stand on business
the wrong way, you talk to me the wrong way, I'm leaving, I quit, So in this season, I'm actually seeking employment right now, and I'm just telling myself, I got to groom myself to prepare to be an adult in this season, to show up for myself, to be patient, to be understanding, to be teachable, because I struggle with being teachable. So, I'm learning and I'm growing. So self-care is not something that I mastered, but it's something that I'm looking forward to mastering someday.
I am not 27, and I didn't know what self-care was back then at 27 either. So don't beat yourself up about that, right? You wear many hats. You're a new mom. Your fiance. I will say this. There is a book that helped me out, though. It's called Knowing the 5 Love Languages. Have you ever heard of that book before?
We have it. Yes.
Sweet. That is a book that really helped me out a whole lot and lets you know if flowers is a thing, that's good. But for a person who flowers isn't a thing, as much as you think it might be a thing, you can give some of the best, beautiful, expensive, great smelling flowers to that person. But if giving flowers to that person and flowers isn't that thing, it doesn't work. And it could have been some wings, because that's what I had to figure out with my wife right now. Flowers were great, but I give the flowers to her, and 2 days later, they're all dead. She don't take care of them.
That's me.
I give her those wings. She talking about those wings, and where can we go get them again another time?
Right, when we going back.
Yep. There you go.
I love it.
Yes, I'm not going to hold you too much longer. I just got one more question for you. And again, thank you again for such a very, very honest and open and authentic. And like you always tell us in our other meetings, keeping a real conversation with us here on the bridge today. How do you envision the future of grief support and advocacy evolving? And what role do you hope to play in that evolution?
Wow, that's deep. I just want to thank God because as of recently, grief has become a diagnosis code. And I think that's the start of something. It is now, a ICD-10, and it stands for something. Because like I said, grief is a disability. It can cause you to not be able to get out of bed. It can cause you to need to soak in some Epsom salt because you can't feel your legs or your feet. It could cause you to have these headaches, this GI issues, all these things that I've been to the hospital for, and they say you're just going through a tough season. They don't have a diagnosis for it. Well, they didn't prior to now. So I think the fact that grief is becoming acknowledged as something that can mentally cause you to lose yourself is a start. The reason why I'm showing up for Co-Pillar is because on behalf of those that are grieving, who feel as if nobody understands, I'm here to say I get it. I'm here on behalf of those that go to work and can't believe that they have to be there when the anniversary of their loss is coming up in a couple of days. I'm here to advocate for those that suffer with a mental illness, who feel as if they'll never get through it. But I'm here because as of this past March, I am now a year of medication free. I've stopped my antidepressants, my antipsychotics. Last March was when I made that decision. And as of March 17th of this year, I celebrated my first year medication free since I was 16 years old. And I'm here to let somebody know that they can do it too. It's not that medication is a bad thing. Medication helped me through a lot of tough times, but it was time for me to break away from it because we don't stay where we don't belong for too long. We have to move on in certain seasons, and medication couldn't come with me where I'm headed next. So I'm just looking forward to growth and awareness coming about when it comes to grief, because some people don't understand how tragic it is until they're standing in your shoes. Some people don't understand how to deal with it until they're standing in your shoes. And although I wish for no one to ever to go through what I go through, it happens. Life happens. And, I just hope that the world can bring some light to those that are losing loved ones, that are losing jobs, because grief isn't just about losing a loved one. You can grieve the loss of a friend that's still alive. You can grieve the loss of a job that you thought was going to carry you through for the rest of your life. But sometimes things come and they go, and nothing is here to stay. So I'm just here to encourage people and to help them through. And as we move into a season of getting ready to help others through grief, through Co-Pillar, and through the Patience Program, and through our workshops, I just look forward to being a voice and an advocate for those that can't find the words themselves.
A word. That was a word, Jasmine. Your hard work isn't going unnoticed in the work that you do here, the Patience Program for us. Your hard work isn't going unnoticed at home that you're doing for your family. Yeah. Your hard work definitely doesn't go unknown for our community. So I really Truly appreciate it. Take my hat off to you for the things that you're doing and the things that you want to do down the line, too, because even in your 27 years of living, you've been through a lot, right? You've handled the cards that you've been dealt with, right? Outside, you can look a certain way, but they really don't know until you kind of peel back the layers and open that book. So you're sharing it in many, many ways in different platforms. So kudos to you. And I know there's more to come down the line. But before we go, I want you to let our audience know where they can get their book, where they can stay and they can meet and learn a little bit more about you on your website. Do you have any of that right now?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I just want to thank you guys, whoever has stayed this entire time and watched this whole podcast. You've gotten to a point where we can connect now, and I look forward to that. I would encourage you to reach out to me. You can find me on social media. It's my first name and my middle name, Jazmiera Janae. I-am Jazmiera Janae with 2 Y's on social media. It's a bit long, but you'll find me because it's very unique. So just take my name, Jazmiera, add Janae with 2 Y's to it, and you can find me on all social platforms. My website is the Jazmiera Janae, Jazmierajanae.org. And that's where you can find my books. There's a link there that'll lead you to a place where you can actually get autographed copies mailed directly to you, coming from me. So if you're looking forward to an autographed copy, you can do that there. And I also have a link tree that leads you to my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook, my podcast. My podcast is called It's Not Right, But It's Okay. Another analogy, I used a song by Whitney Houston where she says, it's not right, but it's okay because we're going to make it anyway. And I use the podcast to encourage people to keep going even when things aren't going right in their life. And that's listed on all podcast platforms, wherever a podcast is found.
Jazmiera, that was great. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. And I know I'll see you down the line in another meeting or two. So thank you again, Jazmiera. Good to see you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Bridge. Your health, your voice. To learn more about the Patience Program, visit our website at www.patience.umaryland.edu.